Hi everyone, it's Nini. This is part 3 of my Deadwood and Spearfish vlog. In part 1, I checked out historic Main Street in the morning and then visited Mount Moriah Cemetery. In part 2, I had a wonderful time in nature where I hiked and drove down Spearfish Canyon and checked out some waterfalls. In this video, I check out Deadwood's night scene. Well, up until about 8 p.m. anyway, because I'm basically a grandma. And then join me for my last day in Deadwood, where I went to the Adams Museum and then toured a brothel. After I got done in Spearfish Canyon, I made my way back to Deadwood, and I think I got back to town around 5:30 or 6. When I got back to Deadwood, I walked around the streets a little bit and checked out some of the shops, waiting for one of the street performances to go on. One of the theater groups in town puts on live performances on the street every night during the summer except for Sundays. They're short performances, only about 10 minutes or so, but I did want to catch at least one because they dress up in old-timey Western outfits that I thought were kind of cool.
Howdy, folks!
Howdy!
We are Deadwood Alive, and we bring history to life right here on Main Street, Deadwood. Jack McCall is the fellow that shot our friend Wild Bill Hickok inside the saloon number 10. He went on trial for that murder the very next day. We finish off each of our days at 8 o'clock every evening, reenacting that trial right up here in the Wild Bill Theater just above the Wild Bill Bar, which actually sits on the original location of Saloon 10 where Wild Bill was actually shot.
Where you say we knock off some of this trail dust? Head on inside for a shot or two of that whiskey, huh?
Wait a minute! What? That can't be what I think it is!
What's this?
Jumping Jehoshaphat!
You wanna take me in? You have to shoot me in the back! I never shot a man in the back before. I haven't a leg. Now hold it right.
Everybody tell me what's going on.
Oh, my gun's all jammed up here, deputy. That's Prescott Webb there. Get your pistol on him. I got the devil on my side, boy. Huh. You actually managed to hit him. Your gun all bouncing around there. Well, what'd you shoot him again for?
Well, he was suffering.
You shoot horses when they're suffering, not people. And that's the way things really were back in Deadwood in 1877. Thanks for being here, folks, and have yourselves a great Deadwood day.
I ate supper at the Gem Steakhouse, and I was trying to stick with keto, so I got a salad and chislic. To be honest, that chislic was some of the chewiest chislic I've ever had. But they sat me by a window, so I got to look out down onto the street, and that was a cool view, and the waitress was a very lovely woman. After supper, I headed back out onto the street to catch them reenacting the capture of Jack McCall.
Gulch here. We're gonna have a trial for that man. Come on down the trial and back to folks. I'm gonna save a place for that. Come on down.
Yeah, you should have thought before you plugged old Wild Bill. We're not gonna take you down there. We're gonna give you a fair trial, then we're gonna hang you, son.
Deadwood seems to really come alive at night. There were definitely way more people on the street in the evening than there were in the morning. There are a lot of casinos and bars, so Deadwood no doubt has a hoppin' nightlife. As for me though, I headed back to the hotel around 8 p.m. because that's how I roll. Good morning from Deadwood. I did my makeup sitting at this table this morning, and I have to show you the view that I was looking at the whole time. It is beautiful. Today's my last day in Deadwood. I'm going to be doing a couple tours. I'm going to check out the Adams Museum. There's supposed to be a lot of Deadwood history there. And then I'm going to tour a brothel. The brothel's on Main Street, and it was a working brothel back in the day. I've only heard good things about it. Like, people rave about this tour. I am a little nervous to tour it because, I'll be honest, I'm not a prude, but I blush easily. So I'm sure they're not going to go into graphic detail. I think it'll be very classy. I think it'll be very interesting to learn about that. It'll probably be sad to learn about it too, because I'm sure learning more about what those women went through will be kind of sad to hear about. And I gotta say, one thing about Deadwood is parking is a pain in the butt. You have to pay to park anywhere, and even in the paid for parking spots, it was usually full. I did find a parking garage that was next to the Fairmont Hotel, and you pay $10 for 24 hours there. I used that twice yesterday, and I'm gonna use that that when I go see the brothel today, but I'm over the 24-hour limit, so I'll have to pay another $10, but that's okay. The Adams Museum is not close to Main Street. Well, I mean, it's not super, Deadwood's a small town, nothing's like super far from each other, but it's not really within timely walking distance of Main Street, so I'm hoping they have parking that is free as long as you are touring the museum. I gotta say about this motel, I still wouldn't call it a rundown motel or a dump or anything like that. It's definitely a cheap motel. I was really surprised at how comfy the bed is. I slept like a rock both nights. The last night, I don't know what time it was. I was woken up. There was some stuff going on outside. I could hear some people laughing. I think they were drunk. That did wake me up for a little bit, but I fell back asleep pretty quickly. The air conditioner though is a little annoying because it comes on and comes off and comes on and comes off. And it's quite loud, so that does interfere with the TV volume, like you have to keep adjusting it. Isn't that such a first world problem though? I should just shut up about complaining about that. I'm complaining about the air conditioner and TV, which most third world countries don't even have either of those, so shut up, Nini. But anyway, after I tour the brothel, unless there's something else that catches my eye that I want to see, I will hit the road and we'll be back home with Walter late tonight. But yeah, this has been definitely something that my spirit needed. And I think I got stung by a bee or wasp or something. I was able to park right outside my motel room, which was really nice this morning for loading up the car. But I just left the door open as I made a couple trips back and forth. And something came in here and was on the bed. I thought it looked like some kind of funky moth. It didn't look like a bee or a hornet or anything like that. But when I took a Kleenex and squeezed it and put it in the trash, something stung me in this finger. I'll try not to flip you guys off. Thank goodness I'm not deathly allergic to bees or wasps or hornets or whatever that thing was. And the weather today is interesting because even up until yesterday, it was forecast that it was going to be raining today. But I woke up this morning and it's forecast now 70s pretty much all day. Like, how can it change that much overnight? I was okay with the rain today because yesterday was my outdoor activities and today I'm going to be inside a lot. So when I saw the rain, I'm like, well, you know, at least it's not the day that I'm going to be outside. Yesterday it was like upper 50s in the morning and then it was 60s most of the day. I think the highest it got was maybe 67. 60s is like my perfect temperature. I have said this a million times on my channel, but I am a sweaty bitch. 70 degrees is hot for me. So I am glad too that yesterday it was 60s and not 70s like today. I mean, it's probably not hot for most of the people, but for me, yes. I'm gonna finish loading up my car, check out of the motel, and then head out and about. This motel has a terrace, which has some kind of pretty views. It caught my eye when I booked the motel, but I kind of forgot about it while I was there, even though I could see it in the parking lot every single time I was there. And it caught my eye before I was about to leave, so I'm like, oh, I need to go up there and check it out. I then headed over to the Adams Museum. This is Potato Creek Johnny's Gold Nugget. It is one of the largest found in the Black Hills. W.E. Adams paid $250 for it in the early 1900s. Speaking of W.E. Adams, here he is. I'm not a foo-foo dress girl, but I thought this was a pretty dress. This says that the gun and holster are attributed to Wild Bill Hickok. I wonder if that means it could be his or maybe it wasn't his. These are cards from a deck of cards that Wild Bill was playing with when he got shot. And this is interesting because it's been widely said that he was holding a pair of aces and eights, and that became known as the dead man's hand. But this says that he was holding a full house and a pair of kings and was beat by another player who held 4 sevens. And it was just made up that he was holding aces and eights. Interesting. This is the second statue that was made of Wild Bill that was put at his gravestone, but people kept chipping away at it and it had to be replaced. In 1955, it was brought to this museum. This piano was played in the Deadwood Theater as silent movies were played. This is a cute story. Apparently an orphan coyote was found in 1947. And this guy, Ollie Wiswell, couldn't bring himself to kill her, even though there was a bounty on coyotes at the time because they were considered a threat. He gave her to a couple, and they raised her, and they named her Tootsie. And they realized that coyotes were one of the most vocal in North America, so they turned her appetite for howling into singing. It sounds like she put on shows and stuff. That is cute. Look at this, is kind of cool. It's comparing Deadwood in 1898 to Deadwood today. That's cool. Look who I found. Potato Creek Johnny. Look at this. This is so cool. Are those donkeys? Deadwood's early roads presented many challenges for the first automobiles. Can you pull the truck across the table without losing a tire or the load? Let's see. I made it. A little bumpy though. This is kind of interesting. It's called the Thone Stone. It was found in 1887. Apparently there was a party of men that left Missouri in the spring of 1833 headed for New Mexico, and they went through the Black Hills. Their ancestors confirmed that in 1833 they headed west and they were never heard from again. It says, came to these hills in 1833, 7 of us, and it lists their names, all dead but me. Ezra Kine killed by Ind, beyond the high hill, got our gold June 1834. And then this side says, got all of the gold we could carry, our ponies all got by the Indians. I have lost my gun and nothing to eat and Indians hunting me. Oh boy. That buggy looks so small. Like I don't think I would even fit in the seat. Oh my god, look at this. It's a 2-headed calf. Oh my gosh. Donated in 1951. It says he survived 6 weeks and then he was mounted and donated to the museum. This is a plesiosaur, discovered in 1934, found in the Black Hills, and it was a new species. They date it to 95 million years ago. Apparently this is what he looked like. Oh cool, this is a photo of him finding him. That's cool. Apparently when the tree was cut, all of this was found inside, and it was put there by squirrels. Look at all the nuts in there. That's cool. I just got out of the Adams Museum and the wind has picked up. You know how I said the forecast changed from last night to overnight? When I looked at it this morning, it said 70s all day. Look at that. It looks like it's gonna rain. So I wonder if that's just being in the hills, if weather can change like that. Isn't that cool? That building behind me, I think it's the courthouse, but that's really cool. After I left the Adams Museum, which by the way, it did have parking behind it, I headed back to Main Street and parked in the parking garage so I could walk to the brothel. The brothel is located on the 2nd floor of this building. It sounds like most of the brothels were on the upper levels of buildings, and the women that worked in them were known as upstairs girls. There was this sign at the top of the stairs that I thought was kind of interesting on the rules. And I don't know about you, but I always consider it a plus if my horses are watched while I do my horsing. Our tour guide said that this little window here looked down onto the stairs and the madam would sit behind it in this little red area so she could keep an eye on everybody who entered the brothel. Everybody who I mentioned that I was going to do the brothel tour raved about this tour. They said it was so good, and it did not disappoint. It was very interesting. It was very well done. And no, it doesn't get into too many graphic details, but it's probably still not kid friendly. In fact, I think you have to be at least 16 before you can even get in there. But it was very fascinating to learn a little bit more about how brothels worked back in the day. Some of the rooms were set up for different time periods.
And hey, guess what Deadwood's always been about? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So this period of time was welcomed with open arms.
Our tour guide, Aaron, was wonderful. The way he presented was very easy to listen to. After the tour was over, he took time to chat with me about some more of Deadwood's history, and that was really interesting, and I thought it was really nice of him to do that. So I appreciated that.
She's actually buried here in Deadwood at Mount Moriah Cemetery, about 80 some steps away from Wild Bill Hickok's grave. She's actually interred next to her husband and her pet parrot, Fred. Now, her parrot actually grew up in this brothel, so it was said that the bird had a very colorful vocabulary. Now, in the bottom center, that little old lady, well, that's Poker Alice Tubbs, one of the original madams here in Deadwood, Madame Mustache, or Madame Mustachio, as sometimes she was called, to kind of church up her name a little bit there. But yes, you can see that she has a mustache. You'd think that would harm business, but it actually drew a lot of attention for her.
That's everything I wanted to do in Deadwood. My mood definitely does feel better than when I took off. I especially noticed it yesterday when I started hiking around. There's something about being outside that always lifts up my mood. Like the second I started hiking, my mood went like, whew. I love learning about the history of this town, seeing the sights. I mean, it was just beautiful. Spearfish Canyon was gorgeous. Oh my gosh. I definitely do feel better than when I took off. So that was what I was hoping for. Does it mean everything in my life is going to be perfect from now on? Of course not. That's not how life works for anybody. Life is always ups and downs. If you struggle with mental health like I do, don't feel bad. It's absolutely nothing that you should be ashamed of. I think it's perfectly human. This journey of life is not easy. Sometimes our heads can be our own worst enemy. But something I've learned is there's always light in darkness. It's kind of like going through a tunnel where it's dark, but you will come out the other side and there will be light. Always. That's what one of my tattoos says. It says your light will shine when all else fails. The lyric is fades, but I got it tattooed wrong because that was how I sung it. But whatever, not the point. It's about how God's light is always there for us, even in the darkest times. So that's something that I always hold on to a lot too, to get me through dark days. Anyway, now that I got super deep there, I am going to hit the road and head home. I miss my kitty cat very much. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this ride. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Deadwood and seeing the sights around here and Spearfish. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.
I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up. Just hold on tight. It'll be alright.
Hello, baby. Hello.
It'll be alright.
This morning I'm going to... My voice isn't awake. I just... Out of here. Bug. For when I do the brothel tour, Before Mary moved out, she appeared. There's a guy power washing tables over here. Can he please stop? I have YouTubing today. Is that a dog? A little doggy! So far, most of these graves have deceased dates of the late 18. So far. Sally. Even the paid for parking spots. I feel so stupid doing that.